Okay, my name is Rem Koolhaas. I'm related to Rem Koolhaas, the principal architect of this office. I'm 30 years old and I'm working here on a freelance basis for this one project I'm doing in Kuwait.
Katrin Betschinger, 27 Jahre und ich bin seit 1,5 Jahren hier.
My name is Samir Bantal. I'm 29 years old. Just to think. Yeah. I'm a project leader on the Ras Al Khaimah project, which is the Emirates project.
Okay, well, I'm Beth Hughes. I'm from Sydney, Australia. Now I'm working on the museum in Riga, Latvia.
Also es ist jetzt nicht so, dass er diktiert, das ist gar nicht so, sondern er braucht oder er möchte, dass die Leute selber machen und dann kritisiert er.
I think there's a unique kind of atmosphere here, the unique kind of a way of thinking, actually.
He doesn't always agree with the team's opinion, but he always wants the team's opinion. So you definitely have a voice.
And that's really an interesting question. And there are many ways of describing it. There's, of course, an interesting issue of power, of age, of kind of imagination.
There's a lot of communication by fax, and we spend a lot of time making faxes to Rem, trying to put everything we have down to on little pieces of A4 paper.
And we fax him very regularly, even when he's traveling, to get his feedback.
A very interesting thing is that it always happens by faxes. So you can send anything you want on A4s. He can write on it, he can make his comments and send it back. So there's a possibility for him to be like aware of what happens in the office all the time.
And that as time goes on, you get more and more involved. You get more and more myopic in terms of what the issues are. And so I never have that kind of blindness, and simply for moving from one project to another project. I have a kind of luxurious position that I never have to share never get into this kind of quicksand of the project itself, but that I can always have a kind of fresh look. Spending time in Europe, spending time in the Middle East now, in China and in America, that also creates this kind of permanent Wechsel of perspective Wechsel also gives a kind of freshness.
There's kind of an office culture and the way projects are approached, but I think the approach usually is to keep pushing the limits until something unexpected happens.
Rem macht Sachen wie zum Beispiel also die Content-Ausstellung, dann gab es diese EU-Ausstellung, die auch jetzt, glaube ich, gerade wieder in Österreich ist. Dann haben sie relativ viel für Prada gemacht. Und ich meine, jetzt für die Projekte selber ist es schon so, dass es da den Input auch gibt.
What has always been very important in our office is a verbal definition of what the project is. I mean, of course, the conditions of a project are always completely defined by their circumstances. What we start with is some kind of exploration of the context, of course, of the political situation, of course, on everything, every expectation that people have. And then we, in words, try to and sometimes in diagrams, we try to identify which particular area or what particular issue this project offers us as an office in terms of reinventing something. So it's kind of really a collective definition of what the ambition of the project should be, with some connection to what could be its architectural point, yeah? and where it could push further. And so that is the first phase. And then the second phase is that a kind of team somehow in close collaboration works on translating that ambition in a kind of conceptual model. Then it is kind of a matter of maybe almost linear elaboration. Then it's a matter of testing it, and kind of sometimes it explodes or sometimes it implodes. So you cannot say it's a kind of entwurf, but it's kind of simply identifying what we could do differently and for what reason in order to achieve the next step.
Und wir haben ja dann praktisch als Aufgabe bekommen, den Science Center und das Kreuzfahrtterminal zu entwerfen. Und das sind halt eigentlich schon von ihrer Aufgabe her oder von ihrem Programm her so besonders, dass irgendwie wir auch wollten, dass die zusammengehören auf ihre gewisse Art und Weise. Also was hier praktisch der Hof war, wurde ja hier zu dem großen Fenster, wo das Theater drin saß. Das ist eigentlich der Grundriss von dem einen Gebäude, wird dann später zum Schnitt vom anderen. Und auch die Programmanordnung ist eigentlich genau dasselbe, das ist einfach nur gespiegelt.
First of all, I know Hamburg quite well. I like Hamburg a lot. Even when I was a kind of script writer, you know, we once wrote a kind of story about somebody who came from Hamburg. So we had some scenes with his mother in Hamburg. But anyway, so in other words, Hamburg means something to me. In this case, there was a kind of big site, a big program. And 4 architectural teams working with the developer. And I know that Hamburg is connected to media, connected to shipping, and that shipping is becoming increasingly important again because of the prominence of China. So it also has a kind of political kind of entity. So, you know, it has a series of metropolitan features and qualities more than the physical presence of a metropolis. But I think those features are what is really critical. I think that the time of the metropolis in a certain time way is over. In other words, a metropolis doesn't have to be kind of anymore a really big city with kind of really big skyscrapers. So for me, a metropolis is more, you know, kind of what are the cultures or what are the commercial focuses.
Nein, was für mich jetzt so den Unterschied ausmacht, ist schon auch, dass diese Analyse vorne rangeht und dass dann auch bei der Entwicklung des Gebäudes, dass da immer auch der programmatische Gedanke dahinter ist. Also dass nicht einfach nur irgendwas geformt wird, weil es hübsch ist, sondern dass es darum geht, warum irgendetwas irgendwie entsteht und warum sieht es am Ende auch so aus. Also dass man immer versucht, das Ganze noch ein bisschen intelligenter zu machen.
So in that sense, I think it's a very unique and pragmatic way, like straightforward.
I think the nice thing about the office is it's quite a conversation.
I think I can talk about what our intention is. Our intention is to stretch the architecture profession kind of in directions that it currently doesn't have. I mean, you probably know that through AMO we try to have to address political issues, because that was a territory that architects would never before enter. Architect traditionally is somebody who waits for a client, and then the client tells him, I want this, and then the architect kind of does it. I still think that's an interesting situation, but increasingly we also want to do things without waiting for clients, and so therefore to define our own agenda. I think another really important ambition is to find a kind of visual language to address issues, not only architectural issues, but kind of cultural and commercial and political issues. So what we're trying to do is work on all these places, and not in an interest to do as many projects as possible, but to try to develop connections and specificities for all of those areas. In other words, to make the work something that is also commenting on both the similarities and the differences of this territory.